Shalom, Yisrael. This is AHK Pathwal Ben Ya'qcob, and you are viewing True Remnant Ministry. Once again, it is a great joy and honor to be able to come before you, my brothers and sisters, to discuss and teach the Word of the Most High. For the scripture states in the book of Jeremiah, Yah says that I will give you Raha, or shepherds, or pastors, after my own heart, that will feed you with knowledge and understanding. So that is our objective in this teaching session, is to feed the flock of Yah with knowledge and understanding of His Word. For the book of Mesheli or Proverbs says that wisdom is the principal thing, but in all thy getting, get understanding. So wisdom does not profit anybody without getting understanding of the wisdom that you are inquiring. So we want to give you understanding along with wisdom concerning the Word of the Most High. About a month and a half ago, I did a teaching concerning YHWH. And I thoroughly explained with scripture, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little, dealing with the context of Amos chapter 5 verse 21. And I strongly recommend, for those of you who have not viewed that video yet, go to my YouTube channel, which is True Remnant Ministries, and view that video, because it will give you clarity and details on why Yah states, I hate your feast. But on this particular teaching session, we want to talk about a topic and discuss a topic, which this teaching is going to be entitled, The Sanctuary, Keeping the Feast and Worship Outside of Yerushalayim or Jerusalem. There are those who are teaching erroneous doctrines that we cannot keep the feast outside of Yerushalayim, okay? And I'm going to do this teaching, first part teaching, and I'm going to do a second part teaching, explaining from the point of view of Torah, which Deuteronomy chapter, I believe it's Deuteronomy chapter 12 and 16. Okay, we're going to put that into context on part 2. On this part 1 teaching that we're going to deal with now, I want to deal with a specific statement that Messiah makes, okay? And this statement most of us have heard all our lives, that he made concerning those that worship Yah must worship the Father in Ruach, spirit and in truth. Some of us has heard it all our life. It is a very, very well-known and popular scripture or quote from Messiah. Okay? But the essence and the true understanding and the purpose in which Messiah made that statement, many people overlook. And I understand the analogies, the metaphors in which many people use that verse in. But what is the context? What is the context of what Messiah is stating? Why does he make that statement? Okay? And in order for us to understand that, we have to read the verses prior to that particular statement. Worshiping the Father in spirit and in truth. We have to read the other verses prior to it to understand exactly why he uses that statement. And let's start there. Let's start in the book of Yochanan, or John, chapter 4. And I want to begin reading at verse 19 through 24, okay? Yochanan, or John, chapter 4, verse 19 through verse 24. And it reads, the woman, speaking about the woman at the well. This is the incident when Messiah was conversing with the woman at the well, having a conversation with her. And she makes this statement in verse 19. She says, the woman said unto him, being Messiah, Sir, I perceive that you are a Nabi, that you are a prophet, an inspired man of Yah. Verse 20. Our fathers worshiped in this mountain. Listen. Hear that. She said, our fathers worshiped in this mountain. And you say that in Yerushalayim or Yisrael is the place where men ought to worship. So this woman is making a statement about a particular place that their fathers worship in and where the Israelites say that men ought to worship. Now I want you to take note of what Messiah says in verse 21. Look what he says in verse 21. Messiah says unto her, woman, he said, believe me. Now that's very powerful. He's letting her know, he said, this is a confirmation. This is an affirmation. This is something that you can take to the bank. I want you to trust, have confidence, understand me when I say, believe me. Look what he says. The hour cometh. He said that the hour cometh, meaning that something's going to happen in the future. There's going to come a particular time period, a time frame, or an event or circumstance that will occur in the future. He said the hour cometh when you shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Yisrael or Yerushalayim worship the Father. He said there's going to come a time when you're not going to worship God in this mountain. Neither would you worship at Yerushalayim. So Messiah is making it clear, my brothers and sisters, with clarity. He's talking to this woman at the well. He's saying to her, look, you worried about your forefathers worshiping this mountain, and you're worried about Yisrael worshiping at Jerusalem, but believe me, trust me when I say that there's going to come a time period whereby you're not going to worship in this mountain nor at Yerushalayim. Why is that? Why is Messiah making this statement? And we know how important it was to the house of Yisrael to go to Jerusalem and worship Yah. At that particular time frame, when Messiah was walking the face of the earth, the temple had been rebuilt. The Levites were in place. There were sacrifices going on at that particular time. At that particular time, people from all over, from different countries, from different nations will come to Jerusalem to worship. And we're going to deal with some scriptures specifically stating that as well. Okay? But look what Messiah says. He said, believe me, the hour cometh when you shall not worship Yah in this mountain, nor at Jerusalem. Now look what he says in verse 22. He said, you worship. You know not what. We know. He said, we know what we worship, for salvation is of the Israelite. Look what he says in verse 23. He said, but the hour cometh. He uses that phrase again, meaning that there's going to come a time in the future. Then he goes on to say, and now is. So twofold. Something's going to happen in the future, and the time is present. It's the present time. The true worshipers shall worship the Father in Ruach and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. Verse 24, Yah is a Ruach, and they that worship him must worship him in Ruach and in Emet. The whole purpose of Messiah making a statement about us worshiping the Father, an hour's going to come whereby, and the hour is, that you shall worship the Father in Ruach and in truth. The only reason why that statement was made, because he was addressing a time period that was to come, whereby the Samaritans, or those of Samaria, would not worship in the mountain, nor the Israelites in Jerusalem. But there's going to come a time period whereby you're going to have to worship Yah in Ruach and in truth. Not only then, but even now, the hour is that you must worship Yah in Ruach and in truth. In the spirit, in the essence, in the mannerism, the nature of Yah. You got to worship Him in Ruach, in the spirit of Yah, and in Emet, truth. What is truth, my brothers and sisters? What does he mean? King Dawid gives us a very clear and distinctive definition of what truth is. In Tehillim Psalms 119, verse 142, he said, your righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and your Torah is the truth. So that's what truth is. We must have the spirit of Yah, the nature of Yah dwelling in us, and we must subject ourselves in obedience to the law, statutes, and commandments, because that is the truth. And if the law of Yah is the truth, and we are not worshiping Yah in obedience to the law, which is the truth, then we have not the spirit of Yah. Okay? Because Messiah said that the Ruach, the spirit of Yah, will lead and guide us into all truth, which is all aspects of the law of Yah. Remember also that the Apostle Paul, Brother Saul says, he says that the law is spiritual. So the law is spiritual as well. It deals with physical actions and deeds, but the essence of the contentation of the law is spiritual. So in order to act out the physical aspects in which the law addresses, the limitations and things of that nature that the law addresses, you must have the nature of the Ruach of Yah dwelling in you. Now, I want to make another statement. I want you to understand clearly. Even though Messiah is prophesying to this woman at the well, he said there's going to come an hour whereby you will not worship in the mountain, nor at Jerusalem worship the Father. He did not tell her that you won't be able to worship at all. So if we can only keep the feast, which the feast is a part of worshiping Yah. That was the main reason why people from all over in different countries, even Israelites that were dwelling in Jerusalem, they would go to Jerusalem, to the temple of Yah, to worship Yah during the feast. That's actually what he was talking about. Because that's basically when they came up, according to Exodus 23 verse 17. Exodus 23 verse 17, okay, it states 3 times in a year your males shall present themselves before Yah. That's at Pesach, that's at Shavuot or Shavuot, Feast of Weeks, and at Sukkot, Tabernacles. So those were the 3 main feasts where all males would present themselves at Jerusalem to Yah. Okay? Now we have to even understand, when did that actually start? Okay? Because when YHWH ben Ya'qcob, when they passed over Jordan, they just didn't start going worshiping in Jerusalem, my brothers and sisters. And I'm going to deal with the history of that on part 2 or part 3, dealing with that, showing you that. But you need to understand, this is why Messiah made that statement, because Messiah understood and he knew that there will come a time period whereby Israelites would not be able, they would not be capable, there would be no way possible that they would be able to go to Jerusalem to worship. Why? Why is that? Okay? And we're going to investigate that. But first, let's deal with some scriptures of individuals going to Jerusalem to worship. Okay? Acts chapter 8, verse 26 through verse 27. Okay? Now look at this. This is the account of the evangelist Philip and the eunuch from Ethiopia. He says, and the Melachim of Yah spake unto Philip, saying, arise, and go towards the south, unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. 27. And he arose and went, behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority, under the Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem to worship. So the eunuch came all the way from Ethiopia to go to Jerusalem to worship. Okay, we're just going to deal with a few accounts. So Jerusalem was a focus point of worship, where they would go, bring their sacrifices, bring their tithes, bring their offerings, and also worship Yah on the three major feasts, which was Passover, Pesach, Pentecost, Shavuot, also Sukkot, or the Feast of Tabernacles, okay? It's very important that you understand that. Now, let's get into the facts in which Messiah was prophesying about in Yochanan chapter 14, verse 19 through verse 24, when he made the statement to the woman at the well, saying, "Believe me, the hour cometh when you shall not worship Yah in this mountain, nor yet at Yerushalayim." Why did he make that statement? Then he goes on further to say in verse 23, that the hour cometh and is, whereby the true worshipers will worship Yah in spirit and in truth. There's a reason why, okay, that we have to worship Yah in spirit and in truth, okay? Now let's go to what Messiah was talking about in Luke chapter 21, verse 5 and verse 6. Now look at what Messiah says here. Look at what the men or the disciples or the people are saying to Messiah. He said, "And as some spake of the temple, how it was ordained with good stones and gifts, he said," this is what Messiah said unto those who were talking about the brilliancy, the magnificence of the temple. Look what he says in verse 6. "As for these things which you behold this day will come," speaking in the future, it will come, "in the which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down." Prophesying the destruction of the temple. This is the reason why Messiah made the statement to the woman at the well. He was prophesying of a time whereby not only the temple being destroyed, but Jerusalem being made desolate. And that would be a particular time whereby, okay, you would not be able to go to Jerusalem and worship, because the temple, the sanctuary, the physical sanctuary, would not be there because it would be torn down. The whole reason, the whole purpose for going to Jerusalem to worship is because the temple, the house of Yah was there, because Yah's name was in the house or in the sanctuary, in that particular place. Look what he goes on to say. Let's skip down. We're going to skip down to verse 20 through 24, okay? Let's skip down. And Messiah goes on and says, "And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh." He said, when you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, you better know that the destruction, the desolation, the ruin of it is nigh. And that happened in 70 AD. This is what Messiah was prophesying about. This is what Messiah was prophesying to the woman at the well. That's why he said to her, there's going to come a time whereby you're not going to worship Yah in this mountain, nor yet at Jerusalem. But those that worship the Father are going to worship him in spirit and in truth. He did not negate the fact that worship was Messiah did not negate the fact that worship will still take place. He never said, oh, because you can't go to this mountain or you can't go to Jerusalem to worship, there's going to come a time that you ain't going to worship at all. No, he did not say that. He said, because you won't be able to worship in this mountain, and because you will not yet worship in Jerusalem, there's going to come a time whereby you're not going to be able to worship in Jerusalem, then you're going to have to worship Yah in spirit and in truth. The hour cometh, and the hour is that the true worshipers shall worship Yah in spirit and in truth. So us true worshipers, we're going to continue to worship Yah. We're going to continue to walk in obedience to Yah. We're going to continue to worship him in spirit and in and in truth, because we know that the law is spiritual. We're still going to keep the feast of Yah. We're still going to keep his commandments, laws, statutes, everything that he tells us to do, because we understand that we're doing it in spirit and in truth. Even though the sanctuary of the temple of Yah and Jerusalem itself is under occupation of the Gentiles, is trodden down of the Gentiles, and the temple has been destroyed, by the Romans in 70 AD under the charge of Titus. The Roman army besieged Jerusalem. They surrounded Jerusalem, and they laid waste to the city of Jerusalem and the temple. Remember, whenever Yah exiles Israel out of the land, he always destroys the temple and he makes Jerusalem desolate. But that does not mean that we still are not capable, or we still don't have to worship Yah. We still got to worship Yah. We are still capable of walking in truth and obeying truth. And that's why Messiah made that statement. That's why he said, those that worship Yah shall worship him in spirit and in truth, because he knew that the hour would come whereby you Samaritans, you're not going to worship in this mountain. You Israelites, you're not going to worship in Jerusalem. Why? Because he made it clear in Luke chapter 21, in verse 5 and verse 6. Verse 5 and verse 6, he made it clear that this temple that you all are in all of, and you see the magnificence of it, he said there's going to come a time whereby there shall not be left one stone upon another that will not be thrown down. Meaning that the temple was going to be destroyed. The sanctuary of Yah will be desecrated. The sanctuary and the temple of Yah would be destroyed. Not only that, Jerusalem shall be made desolate. So that's a sign. He was giving them a sign for that particular time period that was to come. When you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, know that the desolation is now. Now I want you to we're going to continue on. Look at this here. Look at this in verse 21. Look what he says. He said, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out of it. He said, when you see that sign, you see Jerusalem compassed about with armies, he said, you flee Judea. What was Judea? What's so special about Judea? Judea was the territory belonging to the tribe of YHWH, or the tribe of Judah. That was their allotted inheritance within the perimeters of the land that was promised to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. When YHWH Ben Ya'qcob, when they passed over Jordan, he began to divide the land up in territories, giving each 12 tribes, each tribe, their own allotted territory or province. The province of Yehudah, or the territory of land of Yehudah, was called Judea. The land of Judea is where the city of Jerusalem, the capital of Yisrael, is where the temple was. It was in the land of Judea, in the city of Jerusalem. So he said, when you see that sign, Jerusalem compassed about with armies, know that the desolation thereof is nigh. He said, when you see that, let those that are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let those who are in the midst of it flee out of it. He said, get away from it. Don't go up to Judea. Get out of Judea. Why? Look at the third statement that he made, my brothers and sisters. Look at this here. He goes on to say, and let not them that are in the countries. I repeat that again. He said, let not them which are in the countries enter into. He said, if you in the countries, if you somewhere in Ethiopia, you eunuch that was traveling from Ethiopia, don't you travel back up to Jerusalem to worship. When you see that, don't do it. When you see that sign of armies compassed about Jerusalem, know that the desolation thereof is not. That is what That is why Messiah was prophesying to the woman at the well, telling her that the hour cometh whereby you're not going to worship in this mountain, nor yet at Jerusalem, because he knew Jerusalem would be destroyed. He knew that the temple, the sanctuary of Yah, would be broken down stone by stone, therefore leaving the whole entire city desolate. He said, when you see that, don't go to it. If you're in any other country, don't travel up to Jerusalem. Don't make no pilgrim to Judea. Don't make no pilgrim to Jerusalem at that particular time. Look what he says in verse 22. He said, for these be the days of vengeance. He said, these be the days of vengeance. These be the days of judgment, of punishment, of vindication, of retribution. He said, these be the days of judgment, of retribution, of punishment. Don't go up to it, because I'm going to bring vengeance against Jerusalem and Judea. If you're in the countries, don't flee, don't go up to it. Flee out of it, flee out the midst of it. Because these be the days of vengeance. Look what he goes on to say. That all things which are written may be fulfilled. All things that are written may be fulfilled. Look what he says in verse 23. He said, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land. He said there would be great distress in the land of Judea. There would be great distress in the land of Yerushalayim. This is what Messiah was prophesying to the woman at the well. This is why we cannot, as a nation, as a called nation, go to Jerusalem to worship. Then how do we worship Yah? If we can't go to Jerusalem and worship, if we can't go to the place where Yah had placed his name at to worship, how do we worship him? We worship him in spirit and in truth. Why? Because there is a spiritual sanctuary, okay? And we're going to get into it, brothers and sisters. Why is the sanctuary so important? Remember that the law is spiritual. Look what he says. He said, but woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land and wrath. He said wrath. He said wrath, not shalom, not peace, but wrath, punishment, judgment upon this people. What this people he talking about? He's talking about Yisrael. That's who he's talking about. He's talking about the nation of Yisrael. There shall be great wrath upon this people. Look what he goes on to say in verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, the herib, that shall fall by the edge of the herib, the sword, destruction, and shall be led away captive, and shall be led away captive, not in just certain parts of the earth, but into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down. They will destroy it with outrage and with contempt. They will desecrate it. They will bring it to naught. And that has happened, my brothers and sisters, and it's still happening today. Jerusalem is still being trodden down, still being brought to nothing. It is still being brought, so we can see clearly, my brothers and sisters, that when Messiah was conversing with the woman at the well, he was prophesying and letting her know that this particular situation, prophesied in Luke chapter 21, was going to take place. This would be the reason why Samaritans wouldn't be able to worship in their mountain, and Israel would not be able to worship in Jerusalem. Why? Point blank, Jerusalem was going to be destroyed. The temple was going to be thrown down stone by stone. That's why he replied to her in John chapter 4, verse 23. that the hour cometh, and the hour is, that the true worshipers will worship Yah in spirit and in truth. That's why we as a nation today, we have to worship Yah in spirit and in truth. That means the feasts are still applicable, even though we can't go to Jerusalem to worship, okay? We know there's going to come a time when Yah restores Israel, that all Israel, when Jerusalem is rebuilt, when the temple is put back in place, that we will go to Jerusalem to worship the feast of Yah there and to worship the King, Yeshua HaMashiach, there in Jerusalem. We know that shall take place. But for this particular time period, my brothers and sisters, we have to rely upon the Spirit of Yah, and we have to do it in truth. We have to worship Yah according to the Spirit, and do it according to His law, statutes, and commandments, which is the truth. I want to read something in the book of Daniel. I want to go to Daniel chapter 9, verse 25 through verse 26. And one of the things I want you to understand about Daniel chapter 9, verse 25 and 26, you're going to see Daniel prophesied of 3 different time periods, okay? One of those time periods is the same time period and prophetically that Messiah was prophesying about in Luke chapter 21. The destruction of the sanctuary, or destruction of the temple, and Jerusalem being made desolate. Let's go there. Daniel chapter 9 verse 25 reads, "Now, therefore, and understand that from the going forth of the commandment to restore and to build Jerusalem unto the Messiah, the Prince," take note that the word "the Prince," the word "prince" there is the first letter is capitalized, which that gives emphasis, and it's talking about the Messiah, okay? You need to take note of that, because in verse 26, okay, we're going to come across that word "the Prince," but it's going to be lowercase, okay? All right. It says, "Unto the Messiah, the Prince, shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The streets shall be rebuilt again, and the walls, even in troublous times." If you want to understand more about what Daniel is prophesying, you have to go to the book of Ezra, chapter 1 and 2, okay? And this is what Daniel is prophesying here in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25. He is talking about the commandment going forth, which there was a decree in the commandment made forth by Cyrus, the king, in Ezra chapter 1. He gave a commandment for the Yadim, or the tribe of Judah, to go back to their homeland, which was Judea, and to rebuild Jerusalem, and to build the walls, and begin to restore the temple as well, okay? And even during that time period, Ezra, as they were building the walls and repairing the walls of Jerusalem, they were met with opposition with neighboring nations that did not want them to rebuild the wall or restore Jerusalem. So they were met with opposition. They had those that tried to stop them from doing it. But the walls went up, and Ezra was successful in restoring Jerusalem and the region of Judea back to the tribe of Judah, okay? Now, it says that this will happen unto the Messiah, which means until the Messiah. This will happen before the Messiah will come. So this will be a time period that will go forth until the Messiah come, okay? And those walls were built even in troublous times. Now let's skip down to verse 26. It says, "And after 62 weeks shall Messiah be cut off, but not for himself," okay? So Messiah would be cut off, meaning that he would be impaled, but not for himself, but for the nation of Israel, to reconcile them back to the Father, okay? Now it goes on to say, "And the people of the prince." Now notice that here in verse 26, where it says the people of the prince, the word prince, okay, the first letter, which is P, is lowercase, which that is indicating someone else, not the Messiah, but another prince, okay? "Shall come, shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Okay, now this is after Messiah is cut off, or after Messiah is impaled, a prince is going to arise, a prince of the people, which is talking about the Roman Empire or the Romans. A prince will come, and that prince will destroy the city, which is Jerusalem, and not only the city, but the temple, which is also called the sanctuary, okay? And the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war, desolations are determined. So desolations were determined on Jerusalem after that particular war took place, okay? Now we have to understand who this prince is. Now I want to refer you to another scripture, a statement that Messiah made, another prophecy actually that Messiah made in John chapter 14 verse 30. Now Messiah mentioned this same prince that Daniel was talking about. The prince of the people shall come, destroy the city and the sanctuary, okay? What prince is he talking about, okay? Now Messiah prophesies of the same prince here in verse 30. He says, this is Messiah speaking, hereafter I will not talk much with you, for the prince, see that word the prince? That word prince, the first letter, which is P, is lowercase. The prince of this world cometh. He's going to come. That word cometh, which means it's going to happen in the future. There's going to come a time period that this prince is going to come, and he has nothing in me. Which means this prince has nothing to do with Messiah. He has nothing, he don't want anything to do with Messiah. That prince that he was prophesying about is the same prince, all right, that Daniel prophesied that will come and destroy the city and the sanctuary after that the Messiah would be impaled or cut off, not for himself, but for the nation of Israel. That is the prophecy that Messiah was even prophesying in Luke chapter 21. Him and Daniel was talking about the same thing, okay, which happened in 70 AD. What was that prince's name that came and destroyed the sanctuary, the temple, and also destroyed Jerusalem? And there were desolations occurred during or after, even after that time period, even to the time period that we are in now, concerning Jerusalem. What was the name of that prince that would destroy the sanctuary and destroy Jerusalem and cause it to be made desolate? Prophesied in Daniel chapter 9, and also Messiah prophesied of the same prince in YHWH chapter 14 verse 30. Okay, that prince's name was Titus Flavius Caesar Vespasius Augustus, okay? And let's have a few instances I want to read from an article concerning him, okay? And it says, Titus Flavius Caesar Vespasius Augustus was a Roman emperor from 79 AD to 81 AD, a member of the Flavian dynasty. Titus succeeded his father Vespasian upon his death, thus becoming the first Roman emperor to come to the throne after his own biological father, okay? And it goes on to say, prior to becoming emperor, Titus gained renown as a military commander serving under his father. So Titus gained renown. He was a commander serving under his father, meaning he was a prince that served as a commander under his father because he was the son of the emperor at that time, Vespasius. Okay? It goes on to say that he was commander serving under his father in Judea during the first Jewish-Roman war. Okay? Remember that Daniel chapter 9, verse 26 said that after the war, desolations were determined. So the war that he was specifically talking about is the Roman and the Israelite, or the Jewish war as they call it, okay? Let's continue on. It says the campaign came to a brief halt with the death of the Emperor Nero in 68 AD, launching Vespasian bid for imperial power, okay? The year of the 4 emperors, when Vespasian was declared emperor on the 1st July 69 AD. Titus was left in charge of ending the Jewish rebellion. In 70 AD, he besieged and captured Jerusalem and destroyed the city and the temple. For his achievement, Titus was awarded a triumph. The Arch of Titus commemorates his victory to this day. So the prince that he was prophesying about in Daniel chapter 9 verse 26 is the same prince that Messiah was prophesying about in John chapter 14 verse 30, the prince that will come that will have nothing in him. That's who he was referring to. Also Luke chapter 21, the destruction of the temple and the destruction of the sanctuary that happened in 70 AD under the commanding of Titus. All right, Titus. So we have to understand that. That's who he was talking about. Now, what is all this talking about? This is all, I'm giving you all this information to prove why we as a nation of people cannot go up to Jerusalem to worship. All of this was prophesied. Messiah made all of this clear. He made it clear to the woman at the well, you're not going to worship in this mountain, nor yet at Jerusalem. But those that worship the Father are going to worship him where? In Ruach and in truth. Why? Because this prince, known as Titus, it was prophesied by Daniel and by the Messiah that he would destroy Jerusalem and the sanctuary. The temple or the sanctuary was important to the nation of Israel because that's where our forefathers came to Jerusalem to worship before 70 AD occurred. After 70 AD occurred, our ancestors, a lot of them died, and a lot of them fled into West Africa, fled into Ethiopia, into Egypt, okay? And a lot of them were taken captives into all the nations. That's how we got to the Americas. That's why we're in the predicament that we are in now. Okay, that's where it all started for us, okay? Now, I want you to understand, how do we worship Yah? Being that all of this prophecy has already come to pass, it's already been fulfilled. Jerusalem is desolate. There's no temple there for us to go and worship Yah. What is our sanctuary at this particular time in captivity? How do we worship Yah? Let's go to the book of Ezekiel, chapter 11, verse 15 through verse 16. Let's see what it says here. Let's see what the Most High has to say. He speak unto the Son of Man, the prophet Ezekiel. He says, Son of man, thy brethren, even thy brethren, the men of thy kindred. So the Most High is speaking prophetically to the prophet Ezekiel, all right? Specifically addressing a situation concerning his kinsmen, his brethren. Who was his brethren? The tribes of Israel, okay? The tribes of Israel. That was his kinsmen. Those were his brethren. So this is what it's talking about. It's not talking about the Gentile nation. It's not talking about any other nation, but the nation of Yisrael. Look what he goes on to say. He says, Son of man, thy brethren, even thy brethren, the men of thy kindred, and all the house of Israel. Holy, not just part of the house of Israel, not just 3/3 of it, or 1/3, or 1/12 of it. He's saying the whole entire house of Israel. Are they unto whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem have said, get you far from Yah? Unto us is this land given in possession. Can you imagine, my brothers and sisters? I want you to think about what Ezekiel is talking about here. Can you imagine if all Israelites, okay, the whole nation of Israel, if we were all to come together and say, we're going to Jerusalem to worship the Most High? What do you think would happen? Those Gentiles or those imposters, they're in the land today, they would meet us with such opposition. They would try to stop us from going there. Of course, people, you have different Israelites who go there and visit, and they go and sightseeing, and some may go there to do the feast there, okay? But if we all as a people, as a nation, all Israelites that were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, if we all decide and say, look, we all going to go to Jerusalem and worship, what do you think would happen? Do you think that those Gentiles who are in possession of the land at this particular time would be happy about that? No, they would not. Even the nations would meet us with such opposition if we were to do that. Okay, so Yah is speaking unto Ezekiel. He said, I want you to prophesy to your brethren, to the whole house of Israel, to those to whom the inhabitants of Jerusalem say, get away from Yah. Get away from Yah. For unto us is this land given into possession. Is that what the heathens say? Is that what the imposters in the land tell the true house of Israel today, that this land is given to us for possession? Don't they say that? Yes, they do. They think that they are the rightful inheritors of that land. And those of us who have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, who are biblically and historically descendants of the original Israelites that dwelt there almost 2,000 years ago, during the time period of 70 AD, who fled out of there and who were taken captives into all the land, they say to us, look, this is our land. This land don't belong to you. This is our land. This land has been given to us in possession. Look what Yah says. Look what Yah says unto us scattered tribes. The tribes of Israel that are still in captivity today. The tribes of Israel that have been exiled into all the nations of the world. Look what Yah says to them. He goes on to say in verse 16. He said, therefore, thus saith Yah, Elohim, although I have cast thee far off among the heathen, and although I have scattered thee among the countries. Has not Yah scattered Israel among the heathen and among the countries? Look what he goes on to say. Yet will I be to them a little sanctuary. I want to emphasize that. He said, yet shall I be to them a little sanctuary. I don't think y'all heard me, Israel. He said, yet shall I be to them a temple. Yet shall I be to them a sanctuary. Why? Because Jerusalem is trodden down under the feet of the Gentile. The Gentiles have made Jerusalem desolate. They have destroyed the temple, the sanctuary of Yah, the physical sanctuary of Yah that was in Jerusalem has been torn down. Therefore, we as Israelites have no place to worship Yah in Jerusalem because there's no temple there in Jerusalem for us to go and keep the feast, for us to go and bring our tithes, for us to go and offer sacrifices unto Yah. Okay? According to what we call the Old Testament, or according to the law and commandments that Yah had given for the nation of Israel to do. We can't do that because there's no temple, there's no sanctuary there. So how do we worship Yah? That's why Messiah said that those that worship Yah shall worship Yah in spirit and in truth. Why? Because Yah says, even though I have scattered you Israelites throughout the countries, even though I have removed you far from who are inhabiting Jerusalem at this particular point, these false Jews, the synagogue of Satan, even though they say to you real Jews, or to you real Israelites, to the true house of Israel, get far away from Yah, for this land has been given to us for possession. Even though they say that to you, Yah says, even though I have scattered you, even though I have scattered you among the heathen, he said, I'm going to be a little sanctuary unto you. He said, I'm going to be your sanctuary. I'm going to be that spiritual sanctuary unto you. Now look what he goes on to say. Look what he goes on to say in verse 16. He says, yet I will be a little sanctuary in the countries where they shall come. Wherever you are Israelite. Whatever country Yah scattered you in, Yah is a sanctuary unto you in that place. That's why, my brothers and sisters, we still can worship Yah, we still can keep the feast days, okay? Because Yah is our sanctuary. Yah is that place in which his name dwells. Because he is that sanctuary. He is that that place to us spiritually wise. Now, I want to emphasize the word sanctuary in the Hebrew. I want to emphasize this word sanctuary. This word sanctuary is mikdash in the Hebrew. Mikdash is pronounced mikdash, which means sacred place, sanctuary, holy place, sanctuary, temple, tabernacle of Yah, the tabernacle of Yah. Look what he goes on to say. It says a place, sanctuary, where Yah, or hallowed place, or holy place, or sanctuary. That's what it means. So Yah says, I'm going to be that sacred place. I'm going to be that temple. I'm going to be that sanctuary unto you. The same sanctuary that used to come to Jerusalem, your forefathers used to come to the place in which I placed my name, which was at Jerusalem, where that temple, where that sanctuary is, even though that sanctuary has been torn down, and I have scattered you among the heathen, I have scattered you out throughout the countries. He said, wherever you are in these countries, I'm going to be a sanctuary unto you. That's why, my brothers and sisters, Messiah made the statement in Yochanan chapter 4, verse 23. That's why he said, those that worship Yah shall worship Yah in spirit and in truth. Because he knew there would come a time period whereby Israelites would not be able to worship in Jerusalem. Because according to Luke chapter 21, Messiah prophesied that the temple would be destroyed and Jerusalem would be made desolate, and it would be trodden down under the foot of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is completed. We are nearer to the time where the time of the Gentiles is completed, but that time has not come yet. So how do we worship Yah? Yah is our sanctuary. In the places where he has scattered us, in the places where he has scattered us among the heathen throughout the whole entire world, Yah is our sanctuary. He is our temple. That's why we must worship him in spirit and in truth, because he is that temple, he is that sanctuary unto us in the places where he is. We want to back this up with some more scriptures, okay? And then we're going to bring this study to an end. I know that this is a very lengthy study, but this is a study that you can't do in 30 minutes. There's some teachings you just can't do in 15 to 30 minutes, my brothers and sisters. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 14, okay? Now this is a prophecy concerning Messiah. Isaiah is prophesying about Messiah. Look what he goes on to say. And he, who is the he? Messiah, shall be for a sanctuary. Isaiah is saying that he, being Messiah, he shall be, or the he, referring unto Yah, the Most High, he shall be for a sanctuary. That word sanctuary is mikdash in the Hebrew, which means he shall be a temple. He shall be that sacred place. He shall be that sanctuary. He said, but a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to both the houses of Yisrael, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Did that not happen? Did not Messiah become a stumbling block, a rock of offense to both the houses of Judah and the house of Israel, and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem? Yes, he did. But he is also a sanctuary for us as well. Why? Because Isaiah was prophesying by the prophetic utterance of Yah, the destruction of Jerusalem and the sanctuary that was prophesied, or that happened in 70 AD. That's what he's prophesying about, okay? Yah is our sanctuary. He is our temple now, in this present time. Why? Because we are scattered, and Jerusalem is made desolate, and the sanctuary has been torn down. Okay, let's continue on. Psalms chapter 90, verse 1. I want to go to the book of Tehillim, chapter 90, verse 1. Now this is a prayer of Moshe in Tehillim chapter 90, verse 1. It says, a prayer of Moshe, the man of Yah. Yah, thou hast been a dwelling place in all. He didn't say in some generations. He said in all generations. In all generations. That means even before the time of Moses, Yah has been a dwelling place for his people. Even during the time of Moshe, Yah was a dwelling place for his people. Even to this time, this present time, right now, Yah is a dwelling place for his people. What does this word dwelling place mean in the Hebrew? Okay, this word dwelling place is ma'on. Ma'on, that is the enunciation. It means dwelling place, habitation. Okay, it means an abode of Yah, an abode of Elohim. That's what it means. It is an abode of Elohim. Look what it goes on to say. The tabernacle or the temple. It is the tabernacle or the temple. Dwelling place. So this word here that Moshe is referring to, or the prayer of Moshe, Moshe says, Yah, you have been our ma'on. You have been our temple. You have been our tabernacle throughout all generations. Yah is a sanctuary, a little sanctuary for us scattered tribes who have been scattered throughout all the countries of the world. Let's go to Psalms chapter 71, verse 3. And it reads, David says, be thou my strong habitation, unto you I may continually resort. You have given commandment to save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. What does the word habitation mean here in this psalm? This word habitation is ma'on in the Hebrew, and it means an abode of Elohim, an abode of Yah. Look what it goes on to say. The tabernacle or the temple. So David was saying, God, be my ma'on, be that place where you dwell, be that temple, be that tabernacle where the presence of Yah is, be that sanctuary. That's what David was saying. Let's continue on. I got a few more verses. Let's go to Psalms chapter 91, verse 9. And it reads, because thou hast made Yah, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. Okay? So David says, because thou hast made Yah, which is my refuge, he said, the refuge in which I resort to, you have made Yah, which is my refuge, even the Most High, you have made him your habitation. You have made him your habitation, okay? What What does that word habitation here mean in the Hebrew? What does it mean? It is the Hebrew word ma'on, which means an abode of Elohim, the tabernacle or the temple. That's what it means. It's a place of refuge. It's a place of safety. It is a place of Yah. It is a place where Yah dwells. It is that temple. It is that tabernacle of Yah. So you have made Yah what? Your temple. You have made him your tabernacle. You have made him that sacred place. That's why we worship the Father in spirit and in truth. This is what Messiah was talking about. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20, verse 24, okay? And I want to close with this particular verse here. It says, an altar on earth you shall make unto me. Now this is Yah speaking to his servant Moshe. Moshe speaking this to the people. An altar on earth shall you make unto me, and shall sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings and peace offerings, thy sheep, thy oxen, in all the places where I record my name. I will come unto you and I will bless you. So Yah says, if you're going to make me an altar, make me an altar on earth. You shall make unto me, you shall sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings, thy peace offerings, the sheep, thy oxen. Okay? Now we know that we don't do this now because Messiah is our sacrifice. So what sacrifices do we offer unto Yah? We offer our body as a living sacrifices, and we also offer Yah the fruit of our lips. The fruit of our lips, okay? So that is a form of worship, okay? The whole objective here that I'm trying to get you to see is the act of worship unto Yah. Now look what he says here. He says that you shall do this in all the places where I record my name. Which means that the name of Yah just wasn't recorded in one place. The name of Yah was recorded in multiple places. Just not in Jerusalem now. Just not in Jerusalem. God says, if you do this in the places where my name is recorded, I will come to you. I'm going to come to you in that place where my name is recorded. I will bless you. What does the word record mean in the Hebrew? Let's look it up. It means zakar. Now zakar is a Hebrew word which means to remember or to bring to mind or to recount something. Okay? It means to remember, to recall, to call to mind, to remember, to recall, to bring to remembrance, to remember, be thought of, be brought to mind, cause to remember. Alright? Remember, keep in remembrance. Now look what it goes on to say. To mention. So when he says, where my name is recorded, it is where Yah's name is remembered. It is where we recall his name to mind. It is where his name is mentioned to make a memorial, make remembrance. It also means to properly to mark, so as to be recognized. That's what this word record means. It means to recognize, to mark, as to be recognized. Has that not happened here in the Western Hemisphere where all Israelites have been scattered? Is not Yah causing us to remember his name, to zakar, to call back to remembrance the name of the Most High? Exodus chapter 20, verse 24 is telling us where Yah's name is recorded, or where we zakar his name, when we call back his name to remembrance, wherever we are, we can worship, bring our sacrifices, bring our offerings unto Yah, which is the fruit of our lips, the offering up of our bodies as a living sacrifice unto Yah. Why? Because the true worshipers are going to worship Yah in spirit and in truth. I pray that this teaching was a great inspiration to your heart. Understanding and knowledge from precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, line upon line that we brought forth in this teaching session. We were going to bring forth many teachings to come, so we want you to stay in tune. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed yet, leave a comment, question below the video if you have any. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and share this video as well as with many people as you can, okay? So till next time we say shalom to you. May the Most High bless you. May He keep you, cause His face to shine